Here's the truth most men don't want to face. Women cheat differently than men. They don't just stumble into it. They prepare. They detach. They justify. And by the time you notice, it's already over. That's why so many men get blindsided. But betrayal doesn't just appear out of thin air. It happens when three conditions collide. Three specific things that once in place almost guarantee she'll look elsewhere. If you don't know what they are, you're vulnerable. But if you do, you'll see the danger signs long before she crosses the line. In this video, I'll walk you through those three things step by step. Can someone look you in the eyes, whisper, "I love you," and still betray you behind your back? The uncomfortable truth is yes. That's not what you want to hear, but it's the first dose of reality you need. Too many men cling to the illusion that love automatically equals loyalty. But if you've been alive long enough, you already know the two don't always travel together. And when it comes to women, this gap can be devastating. The problem starts with definitions. Men usually have a singular, almost tunnel vision idea of what love means. For most men, love is passion, desire, closeness, and physical connection. If those are alive, he feels secure. If those are gone, he feels abandoned. But women see love through a wider lens. Psychology breaks it down into four major categories. And when you understand these, you'll see why a woman can cheat and still claim she loves you. The first is eros. This is the fiery, intoxicating love of passion and closeness. It's the kind of love that keeps couples up all night, that pulls them into each other's orbit like gravity. It's addictive, it's exciting, and it's what most men crave. The second is philia. This is the bond of friendship, the calm, steady connection between equals. When couples have been together for years and the fire of passion cools, philia is often what remains. She may still love you in this way, but it's not the kind of love that stops her from seeking passion elsewhere. The third is storge. This is the natural affection between parents and children. It's unconditional, uncalculated, and not based on merit. A woman can feel this deeply for her kids and still feel nothing but emptiness for her partner. The fourth is agape. This is the selfless giving love, like the love of God for humanity. It's love without expectation offered freely. Some women hold on to agape as a principle even while betraying you in practice. Now here's the kicker. When you ask a woman if she still loves you, she might genuinely mean it. She may be offering you philia when what you desperately want is eros. She may see no contradiction in her actions because her definition of love doesn't match yours. Meanwhile, you're left confused, trying to reconcile words with actions that don't line up. That's why so many men stay in relationships long after trust is broken. They hear, "I love you," and they hang on to it like a life raft. They don't realize those words can be true in her mind and false in reality at the same time. That's the blind spot. That's where men get trapped. Understand this. Love, in the way she defines it, is not a guarantee of loyalty. If you keep believing it is, you'll never see the betrayal coming until it's too late. Now that you understand why love doesn't always mean loyalty, let's cut straight into the three real reasons women cheat. Number one, when she craves variety and feels starved. You've probably heard the old cliche, men cheat for variety, women cheat for emotion, and most men nod along thinking women are naturally more loyal, that they don't crave change the way men do. That's one of the most dangerous lies you can believe, because here's the truth. Women also crave variety, they just mask it better. When a woman feels starved inside her relationship, whether it's physical closeness or emotional attention, she starts looking outward. And unlike men who might pursue novelty for the thrill alone, women often justify it as a way to fill a gap. She tells herself she's not abandoning her marriage or her partner. She's simply outsourcing what she's not getting at home. Picture this. She still cooks dinner. She still tucks the kids into bed. She still smiles across the table at you. On the surface, she looks like the perfect wife. But late at night, while you're snoring in bed, she's texting another man. Not because she doesn't care about her family, but because the hunger inside her has grown unbearable. That quiet longing becomes a secret life. This is where men get blindsided. You think as long as you're providing, as long as the bills are paid, you're doing your job. But relationships don't run on autopilot. If she feels unseen, untouched, or emotionally ignored, she will find someone who makes her feel alive again. It's not about whether you're a good man. It's about whether you're meeting the needs she values most. Now let's be clear. This doesn't excuse betrayal. It explains the psychology. A woman might stay in her marriage for years while secretly feeding her desire elsewhere. She convinces herself she's protecting her family, that this double life is the lesser evil. She gets to keep her stability while chasing her cravings in the shadows. The irony is brutal. She can justify it in her mind as a way of saving the relationship. If I can just get this need met somewhere else, I won't have to leave him. Meanwhile, you're being quietly replaced, not all at once, but piece by piece. By the time you notice, the emotional bond between you is already cracked beyond repair. Here's the lesson. When you don't step up to fulfill her emotional and intimate needs, someone else will. That's not fear-mongering. That's reality. And the men who ignore it are the ones who wake up one day realizing their loyal partner has been living a second life right under their nose. Number 2, when her love and respect for you slowly fade away, a woman almost never leaves suddenly. Long before she walks out of the house with her suitcase, she's already walked out in her heart. That's the cruel difference men rarely see coming. By the time you notice her coldness, her distance, or her silence, she's been detaching for months, sometimes years. It doesn't always start with another man. It often starts with you. Maybe you thought you were being a strong leader, but you slipped into control. Maybe you thought being busy at work was noble, but she felt invisible. Maybe you assumed love was permanent, so you stopped putting effort into the small gestures that once made her light up. Whatever the reason, the slow erosion of respect is what kills her love. On the outside, she might keep smiling. She'll say, "I'm fine." She'll laugh at family gatherings. She'll go through the motions of being your partner. But inside, there's a widening emptiness, a void where affection used to live. She no longer looks at you with admiration. She looks at you like a burden, like someone she has to endure. And here's the chilling part. Once a woman loses respect for you, regaining it is nearly impossible. That's why, for many women, cheating becomes less about pleasure and more about escape. It's not always a sudden spark with another man. It's the slow drip of disappointment, the suffocating weight of unmet needs, until she convinces herself, "I deserve to feel alive again." When her respect dies, when her affection dries up, the door to betrayal opens wide. This is why men often feel blindsided. You thought things were fine. She told you they were. But women are experts at maintaining the facade while secretly disconnecting. By the time she acts out, she's already built her exit strategy emotionally. Cheating, in this case, isn't random. It's the final step of a long process of detachment. Understand this. Once a woman has emotionally checked out, leaving her will hurt you more than it hurts her because she's already gone. And if you're blind to the signs, you'll cling to a ghost, wondering how it all crumbled so suddenly. The reality is harsh but simple. Love doesn't die overnight. It withers when respect fades, when admiration is replaced with resentment, when closeness is replaced with silence. And once she crosses that line, betrayal isn't a question of if, it's a matter of when. Number 3, when fear and circumstances push her into someone else's arms, not every act of betrayal comes from passion. Sometimes it's born out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of financial instability, of raising kids without support, of what friends or family will say. A woman doesn't always cheat because she's deeply in love with someone else. Sometimes she cheats because she feels trapped and powerless in the life she already has. This is where the psychology of safety nets comes in. Instead of walking away, she clings to the stability you provide, while secretly building a backup plan with someone else. She doesn't see it as abandoning you. She sees it as cushioning her fall. That third party becomes a transition, a soft landing zone she can step into. When the weight of her unhappiness becomes unbearable, it can be as subtle as venting to another man after a fight. You might dismiss it as just talking, but over time, that outlet grows into a bond. That bond becomes her lifeline. And before you know it, the arguments you brushed off at home are fueling the intimacy she's building elsewhere. Every misunderstanding, every cold night of silence, every careless word, it all pushes her closer to someone who feels safer, kinder, or simply more attentive. The tragedy is that in her mind, this makes sense. She tells herself she's protecting her family by not filing for divorce. She convinces herself she's doing the responsible thing by staying while still reaching for a connection that keeps her sane. But what she doesn't admit is that each step she takes with him is one step further away from you. This is why some men feel completely blindsided when the breakup finally comes. From your perspective, it might look like she left suddenly. From hers, she's been preparing her escape for months, maybe even years. That other man wasn't just a fling. He was the bridge she built to walk away from you without ever feeling the free fall of being alone. Here's the brutal truth. When a woman feels unsafe, emotionally or practically, she won't always walk out the front door. Sometimes she slips out through a side exit into the arms of another man who offers her the illusion of security. And every time you dismiss her concerns, every time you leave conflicts unresolved, you push her closer to that escape route. If you think small fights don't matter, think again. To her, those small fights might be the very moments that decide whether she leans back into you or leans into someone else. This is the part you need to hear carefully because it might save you years of blindness. Men often ignore the red flags because facing them feels unbearable. You don't want to believe she could betray you. You'd rather accept her excuses, tell yourself you're being paranoid, or hope the tension passes. But denial is the fastest way to become the last man in the room to realize the truth. So pay attention because these signs, while not absolute, are your early warning system. The first sign, her phone becomes untouchable. It used to sit on the counter face up, with no password or maybe just a casual lock. Now it's glued to her hand. She carries it into the bathroom. She sets it face down at dinner. If you reach for it, she reacts like you violated sacred ground. The phone transforms into a private vault and the change is sudden. That's not paranoia. That's a shift in behavior. The second sign, mysterious disappearances. There are stretches of time when you simply can't reach her. Calls go unanswered. Messages sit unread. Later, when she finally reappears, her explanations don't add up. She was busy with work, but her story has holes. She was with a friend, but you never hear about that friend again. When a woman becomes unavailable in ways she never was before, that's a signal she's investing her time elsewhere. The third sign, a sudden obsession with her appearance. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good, but you'll notice the difference. She starts spending extra time getting ready for routine errands. Her wardrobe shifts, her makeup becomes bolder. The change doesn't align with any life event. No new job, no special occasion. She's reinventing herself, but not for you. The fourth sign, an unexplained shift in attitude. The warmth that once defined her is replaced with distance, irritation, or coldness. Little things you do suddenly annoy her. The way she talks to you changes, sharper, more dismissive. These aren't random mood swings. They're the result of emotional detachment. She's already transferring her affection somewhere else, and you're left with the scraps. The fifth sign, lies. Even about small things. You catch her stories not lining up. She gives unnecessary details to cover her tracks. Sometimes the lies are so minor, you wonder why she'd bother. But that's the point. Dishonesty becomes a habit, a reflex, because she's already living a double life. If she can't be honest about the small stuff, don't fool yourself into thinking she's telling the truth about the big things. The sixth sign, communication collapses. Remember when you used to talk daily, share jokes, or check in on each other? Now you're begging for scraps of her attention. Conversations are short, distracted, or forced. Calls go unanswered. Texts get one-word replies. That's not busyness, that's disinterest. Communication is the lifeline of a relationship, and when she cuts it, you're watching the cord being severed in real time. Individually, each of these signs might have an innocent explanation. A locked phone doesn't prove betrayal. A new wardrobe could just be self-care. But when these behaviors cluster together, when secrecy, distance, and lies start stacking up, the odds shift dramatically. You're no longer looking at coincidences. You're looking at patterns. And here's the critical part. Your gut will usually sense it before your mind accepts it. Men often silence that instinct because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to be controlling or jealous. But ignoring your gut is how you end up blindsided. Trust your instincts. They're not perfect, but they're rarely wrong. The moment you see multiple signs stacking up, stop hoping it's nothing. Start paying attention. Write it down. Observe. Protect yourself. Because the cost of denial isn't just heartbreak. It's years of wasted time, dignity, and energy invested in someone who already checked out. Men and women don't cheat the same way. That's one of the most dangerous misconceptions you can hold. When a man cheats, it's often impulsive. It can be driven by desire, opportunity, or ego. He can step outside the relationship and then step right back in without much emotional attachment to the person he cheated with. That doesn't make it harmless, but it does make it different. Women operate differently. For most women, cheating is rarely a spontaneous accident. It's a process, a build-up. They think about it, wrestle with it, justify it. By the time she crosses the line, she's already been halfway gone for a long time. She's not just chasing a thrill, she's seeking connection, validation, or an exit. That's why when women cheat, it often cuts deeper. Because it's not just physical, it's emotional. This is what most men fail to grasp. You catch her and you think it's just like when a guy slips up at a bar or on a business trip. You tell yourself, if she just stops, we can fix this. But what you don't see is that her betrayal is layered with months, maybe years of emotional detachment. She didn't stumble into someone else's arms. She walked there step by step while you were still convinced everything was fine. That's why when men finally uncover the truth, it feels like a bomb has gone off. You thought you were losing her attention slowly. In reality, you lost her heart long before you discovered the evidence. By the time she's physically unfaithful, the emotional bridge back to you is already burned. Here's the harsh reality. Women rarely cheat without feelings, and those feelings don't just vanish once the affair is exposed. That's why so many men struggle to win her back after betrayal, while she feels almost relieved it's out in the open. For her, the act of cheating wasn't the beginning of the end. It was the conclusion of a long silent journey away from you. So stop comparing male and female infidelity as if they're the same animal. They're not. A man can sometimes compartmentalize, detach, and move on. A woman, once she's crossed that line, has usually invested her heart elsewhere, and once her heart is gone, what's left for you is a body that stays out of convenience, but a spirit that's already miles away. If you want to protect yourself, you need to stop projecting your idea of cheating onto her. You need to see it for what it is, a different, deeper kind of betrayal. One that doesn't just steal loyalty, but steals the very bond you thought was unbreakable. Now you've seen the reality for what it is. Women don't just cheat out of nowhere. It happens in 3 powerful scenarios. When she craves variety and feels starved in the relationship. When her love and respect for you fade into silence. And when fear or circumstances push her to build a secret exit plan. Add to that the subtle warning signs, the locked phone, the sudden disappearances, the shift in appearance, the lies, the coldness, the collapse of communication, and you have a map of betrayal unfolding right in front of you. But here's the gut punch. Men are almost always the last to know. She's been preparing, planning, and detaching long before you saw the smoke. By the time you confront her, the fire has already burned through the foundation. That's why so many men feel blindsided. Not because the signs weren't there, but because they refuse to see them. The truth is brutal, but freeing. You cannot control whether a woman chooses to betray you. You cannot force loyalty out of someone who has already left in her heart. What you can control is your awareness, your standards, and your response. You can choose to stop ignoring your gut. You can choose to pay attention to patterns instead of excuses. And most importantly, you can choose not to beg for the scraps of love from someone who has already handed them to another man. If you've been nodding through this video, it's because you recognize the patterns. Maybe you've lived them. Maybe you're living them right now. Don't let denial destroy years of your life. Stand tall, face the truth, and protect your dignity. Because no matter how painful it feels to confront, it will never hurt as much as staying blind. If this video hit you hard, that means it was meant for you. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another man who needs to wake up. And if you want more raw truths about women, relationships, and the psychology of power in love, subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share. Because every time a man learns this truth, that's one more man who refuses to be led by illusions.